My name is Leah. I'm 30 years old, married for just a year, and I work in an office. We don't have kids yet. Before I got married, I used to enjoy going on short train trips by myself. On my days off, I'd pick a place from a travel magazine I loved, pack a small bag, and head out. Some of my friends would ask, "Don't you get lonely going alone?" I'd just smile. Of course, sometimes I felt a little lonely, but I really liked the freedom, walking at my own pace, deciding what to eat or where to stop. I didn't need anyone to keep me company. One day, while flipping through my travel magazine at a quiet cafe, I noticed something strange. Wait, wasn't that guy at the station last week too? I thought I was imagining it, but then it happened again, and again, 3 different places, and the same person showed up. If I were the romantic type, I might have called it fate, but I'm not, and honestly, it just felt a bit creepy. But to my surprise, he was just as confused as I was. Sorry if I'm wrong, but haven't we seen each other a few times, in completely different places? He asked me one day, looking both nervous and embarrassed. I swear, I'm not following you or anything. I laughed a little, trying to ease the tension. It's probably just coincidence, I said, and I showed him the travel magazine. I go places based on this. His eyes widened, and then he smiled. No way, me too. He pulled out the same magazine. That's how I met Henry, my husband. Henry was cheerful and easygoing. He traveled light, just his phone and maybe a card. I always brought way too much stuff, but he found that funny and endearing. We were different, but we clicked. We started meeting more often, taking trips together. I found out that eating local food with someone else made it taste even better, and for the first time, I liked not being alone. After about 6 months, Henry asked me to be his girlfriend, and not long after that, he proposed. I didn't hesitate. I was happy and believed we'd build a wonderful life together. But the problem didn't come from Henry. It came from his parents, Jack and Alia. They live about 30 minutes away from us. They're still pretty young, in their 50s, and both of them work. At first, they used to drop by our house a lot, but lately, they hadn't been around much. I was starting to feel a bit more at ease, until something changed. It happened when Henry and I were planning our next trip. "Hey, let's go here on our next day off," I said casually. "Yeah, good idea," he agreed with a smile. Then he added, "Oh, by the way, it's almost my parents' wedding anniversary. What if we invited them to come along?" I froze. I didn't like the idea, but I couldn't bring myself to say no. "Sure, we haven't seen them in a while," I said, even though I was nervous inside. Henry didn't notice anything. He was just excited. The next day, he told me, "They're really looking forward to it." I took a deep breath and braced myself. The truth is, I don't hate my in-laws, but I don't feel comfortable around them either. They're loud, cheerful, and full of energy, everything I'm not. I'm a quiet person. Talking to them drains me. When I first met them, I remember how overwhelmed I felt. "Nice to meet you. I'm Henry's mom," Alia shouted. "And I'm his dad," Jack added with a laugh. They were so loud, so casual. We went to an all-you-can-eat buffet for our first dinner together. They said they were too nervous to eat all day, but I quickly learned that wasn't true. They just wanted to save space for the buffet. As they filled their plates with heaps of food, I sat there, barely able to eat. I was nervous and unsure. Was this really the family I'd be joining? Still, when they said, "Please take care of Henry," I was touched. They seemed warm in their own way, so I said yes when Henry proposed. But I realized later, I'm not so great at judging people. At our wedding, they ignored the ceremony and spent most of their time at the buffet table. My parents were disappointed, and honestly, so was I. The only one who acted decently was Henry's younger brother, Jonathan. He seemed polite and thoughtful, the opposite of his parents. "I'm really sorry about them," he said. "They always act like this." He told us he didn't have a great relationship with them, and now I understood why. They even got mad at him for scolding them once when they tried to cheat at a store promotion. They're just moochers, I thought. One time, when they visited us, they didn't bring anything, which was fine, but then they started poking through our shelves. "Oh, is this that new snack from the commercial? I've been wanting to try this," Alia said, grabbing it. They found my hidden snacks and treated them like free samples. Henry, trying to be nice, said, "Take them if you want, right, Leah?" I wanted to scream, but all I could do was smile. They started coming over every week. I felt like I was losing my mind. Finally, one day, I snapped, "Henry, don't you think your parents are kind of annoying?" He looked confused. "They've always been like that, don't worry about it." That made me even angrier. "If this keeps up, I'm going to divorce you." My outburst seemed to wake him up. After that, the visit stopped. I don't know what Henry said to them, but things calmed down. So when he suggested traveling with them again, I couldn't help but feel anxious, but I agreed. On the day of the trip, they were waiting at the station. "It's been a while," Alia said. "I heard you've been busy with work, must be tough." She smiled at me, but I couldn't relax. Something inside me felt uneasy. And that's when everything started to unravel again. The visit that changed everything. It started like any ordinary family trip. Henry and I were meeting his parents, Alia and Jack, at the station, but when I saw them arrive, something immediately felt off. Alia, Jack, where's your luggage?" I asked. They looked around awkwardly. "Oh, well, we didn't bring any," Alia said. "Wanted to move quickly, and my shoulder hurts." Not even a small bag. It was strange, but I said nothing. Deep down, I had a bad feeling. That feeling only grew worse as the trip went on. A few minutes later, another surprise. They had forgotten their wallets. "Isn't that odd?" they said with fake confusion, pretending to be surprised. I wanted to cancel everything right then, but Henry just sighed and said, "They've always been like this. Don't worry, I'll cover it, I'll make them pay me back later." But I knew he wouldn't. We continued the trip, and their behavior didn't improve. At a local store, Alia asked the staff, "No free samples? How stingy." Later, I bought a drink because I was thirsty. I hadn't even taken a sip when Alia said, "Can I have some? I forgot my wallet again." Henry stepped in, clearly embarrassed. "Stop it, Mom, I'll buy you one." But then I heard Jack mutter, "What a stingy woman," referring to me. I heard it loud and clear. Me, stingy? I could say the same about them. Still, I didn't leave. I kept hoping things would improve, but they didn't. A few weeks later, Alia called Henry asking to travel again. I couldn't believe it. I felt uneasy when I saw them on the platform once more. This time, they brought wallets, but just as we were about to pay, Alia said, "Oops." I grabbed the old wallet. I was in a rush. A lie, obvious and awkward. Only Henry seemed to believe her. On the third trip, they forgot their wallets again. That's when I had enough. "Alia," I said sharply, "did you really forget your wallet, or did you never plan to pay?" Her face turned red. "How rude." "Apologize to Alia," Jack shouted. "No," I said, "you're just greedy, both of you." Henry looked overwhelmed. Tourists nearby were watching the argument. Henry whispered, "Stop it, please." I couldn't hold back anymore. I started crying, not from sadness, but from disappointment, and yet Alia rushed over to Henry. "I'm sorry, Henry, it's my fault. You're so kind to cry for me," she said, hugging him like she was the victim. Jack stood by, silent. It was like a play, a performance. Watching them, I thought one thing, this is impossible. I want a divorce. Then came the worst part. "We know we're wrong sometimes," Alia said, "but it's Henry's money, so it's fine." She repeated it, "It's Henry's money," but that wasn't true. I had a full-time job, our salaries weren't that different, we split our expenses. They acted like I was spending his money. That hurt. On every trip, they kept saying, "I want that. Oh, let's buy gifts for the neighbors. Hey Henry, buy me that." Henry's credit card bills were huge. 4 months, we lived mostly on my salary. I had once believed that in marriage, money was shared, but it should also be respected. Don't be a burden to your partner. One time, Henry panicked because the place didn't accept cards. He opened my bag and pulled out his wallet, which had only a few coins. "Oops, I forgot to bring cash. You know I never carry it," he said like it was funny. It wasn't. I always paid for my own things, but his parents acted like I was a gold digger. It made me sick. Eventually, I smiled calmly and said, "I'll buy some drinks, you three go ahead on the train." Henry looked relieved. They boarded with smiles. Those smiles faded when the train doors closed and I didn't return. Henry messaged, "Are you coming? The train's about to leave." I sent a final message, "I'm divorcing you." If your parents are so important, go live with them, goodbye. I saw his face through the glass door, shocked, then angry. He shouted, but the doors stayed shut. Jack and Alia were yelling too, but I couldn't hear them. I smiled. Good luck making it back, I whispered as the train disappeared into the distance. I rushed home, packed my things, and went to stay with a friend. Henry kept messaging, but I didn't reply. He probably ran out of battery. He always forgot to charge his phone. Worse for him, I had his wallet and charger in my bag. Later, my phone rang. It was Jonathan, Henry's younger brother. Leah, I'm sorry, what happened? He asked. I told him everything, all of it, Henry, the lies, the manipulation. From his tone, I could tell Jonathan was getting angry. I heard Alia yelling in the background, she's making a fool of us, tell her off. They expected Jonathan to defend them. But instead, he exploded, you fools, what's wrong with you? Jonathan had always seemed calm, but I had heard Alia mention that when he really gets angry, no one can argue with him. After that, I quietly ended the call. Henry tried to fight the divorce, but through a lawyer. I told him I wanted a clean break, no contact. He finally agreed. Later, Jonathan told me the truth. His parents had always been awful, begging, borrowing, and freeloading. Even their neighbors disliked them. They were known for trying to get free stuff from supermarkets, demanding discounts, and even asking for damaged food for free. He also told me that Henry had become just like them. They were gambling addicts, always out of money, and it explained everything, their constant hunger, the fake forgetfulness, the lies. When people ask why I divorced Henry, I say one simple thing: our values were too different. If anyone can live with people like that, they must have the patience of a saint. I don't. Now, I'm focusing on myself. I've continued working and started a side job as a web writer. A publisher noticed my travel blog and offered me opportunities. I still travel, just alone now. It suits me better. Last month, I earned enough to plan a vacation at a peaceful resort. I'm only 30. My life is just beginning.